There is a photograph of Barbara from 1963. She is 27 years old. She is standing outside an office building in Birmingham in a wool crepe dress the color of winter sky. Her shoes match her handbag. Her collar is pressed flat. Her coat is the same coat she wore last winter and the winter before that. Barbara owned 4 dresses, 1 coat, 2 pairs of shoes. And every woman who passed her on Corporation Street turned to look, not because she was wealthy, because she was put together in a way that stopped people. Barbara never used the word style, she just got dressed. And the industry that replaced what she knew is now worth $1.7 trillion. She grew up in a back-to-back in Handsworth, left school at 16, took the bus to work every morning. Her clothing budget was not remarkable. What was remarkable was what she did with it, and what every woman on her street did with theirs. No capsule wardrobe system, no style formula, no personal shopping appointment. Just 8 habits so ordinary they didn't have names. Then something changed. Not Barbara, not her eye. What changed is what this video is about. Before number 8, subscribe. This channel exists to tell you exactly this. Hit the button and let's keep going. Number 8. They bought less and chose better. Barbara's wardrobe in 1963 could be described in one sentence. 4 dresses, 1 for work, 1 for Sunday, 1 for evenings, 1 spare. 1 wool coat in navy. 2 pairs of shoes, 1 black, 1 tan, 1 leather handbag. That was it. Not because she couldn't afford more, because more wasn't the point. The point was that every single item was right. The global fast fashion industry is now worth $1.7 trillion. It operates on a volume model. The more you buy, the more you need, because cheap items wear quickly and trend cycles accelerate the feeling of being behind. The average British woman today buys 27 kilograms of new clothing per year. She throws away 23 kilograms of clothing per year. She reports in survey after survey, feeling that she has nothing to wear. Barbara had 4 dresses. She never felt that way, not once. Number 7. Everything fit perfectly. This is the one that gets lost first when you look at old photographs and wonder why the women in them look so pulled together. It isn't the clothes, it's the fit. Every item Barbara owned had been altered. By herself, by her mother, or by the seamstress 2 streets over who charged half a crown for a hem. Nothing bagged, nothing pulled. Nothing was slightly too long or slightly too short, or bought with the intention of losing weight first. A garment that fits correctly looks expensive regardless of what it cost. A garment that doesn't fit looks cheap regardless of what it cost. This is not a matter of opinion. It is what the eye reads before the brain processes the fabric. The tailoring industry in Britain employed over 100,000 people in 1963. The high street alteration shop was as ordinary as the post office. You bought the garment, you had it fitted, and then you wore it. Today, the alteration market is a niche service most women don't know how to access. The fast fashion model depends on standard sizing that fits nobody perfectly, and on the buyer adjusting her expectations rather than the garment adjusting its seams. Barbara adjusted the seams. She always looked like the clothes were made for her because, effectively, they were. Number 6. They pressed everything. The ironing board in Barbara's house was not put away between uses. It lived in the kitchen, always accessible, always slightly warm. Every item that came off the body was hung, aired, and pressed before it went back into the wardrobe. Not because Barbara was fastidious, because a pressed garment looks new. A creased one looks worn, regardless of what it cost or how recently it was bought. Here is what keeps surfacing when you trace this carefully enough. The difference between the women in 1963 photographs who look effortlessly elegant and the women who don't, is almost never the garment. It is the state of the garment. Pressed lapels, flat collars, crisp cuffs. These are things that cost nothing beyond 10 minutes and a hot iron. And they do more for the appearance of a woman's clothing than any new purchase she could make. The global wrinkle release spray and fabric care market is now worth $4.2 billion. It sells a 30-second spray solution to a problem that a 2-minute press with a damp cloth solves permanently. Barbara didn't use the spray. She used the iron. Her clothes looked cared for because they were. Number 5. They wore the right undergarments. This is not a conversation about discomfort. It is a conversation about architecture. In 1963, the foundation garment, the girdle, the structured brassiere, the slip, was not optional. Not because women were told their bodies were wrong. Because the clothes of the era were cut to sit over specific shapes, and without the correct foundation, the silhouette collapsed. The result in every photograph of women dressed correctly for 1963 is a line from shoulder to hem that is clean, deliberate, and composed. The fabric falls the way the designer intended. The waist sits where the waist is meant to sit. Nothing shifts or bunches or rides. The garment does its job because the foundation is doing its job underneath. This is not about control or constraint. It is about the relationship between a garment and the body wearing it, and the understanding, which Barbara had entirely naturally, that the two have to work together. The shapewear industry today is worth $6.4 billion. It sells under a different name, exactly what Barbara considered too obvious to mention. Number 4. They accessorized once. One thing. Barbara left the house every morning with one considered addition to the dress: a brooch, a scarf, a single strand of pearls, a belt at the waist. Not 3 things, not 5, 1. And it was always the right one because she had thought about it. The accessories market globally is worth over $500 billion. It is built on the idea that more is more, that a woman's outfit is incomplete without the right bag, the right earrings, the right watch, the right shoes, the right belt, all working simultaneously. The result, in most cases, is visual noise. The eye doesn't know where to go. Nothing stands out because everything is competing. Barbara's brooch stood out. It was a small jet pin her mother had given her. She wore it on the left lapel of her winter coat every year from 1959 to 1981. People remembered it. People remembered her. One thing, chosen well, worn consistently, becomes a signature. 20 things, rotated anxiously, become a collection nobody notices. Number 3. They kept their clothes for years. The wool crepe dress in the photograph, Barbara wore it for 11 years. Not because she couldn't afford a new one, because it still fit, it was still good, and there was no cultural pressure telling her it was time to move on. Fashion cycles in 1963 moved slowly enough that a well-chosen classic didn't date in 11 years. It just became hers. The concept of the trend cycle, seasonal collections, micro-trends, the constant pressure to update, was industrialized in the 1980s and accelerated beyond recognition in the 2000s with fast fashion, and then again in the 2010s with social media. The average life of a fast fashion garment today is estimated at 7 to 10 wears before it is discarded. 7 to 10 wears. Barbara got 11 years out of one dress. She didn't think of herself as a conservationist. She just didn't throw away things that worked. Number 2. They dressed for where they were going. Barbara got dressed with intention every morning. Not performance, intention. She looked at what the day required and she dressed to meet it. Work required the navy dress and the low heel. Sunday required the good dress and the gloves. An evening required the one good thing she owned for evenings, worn without apology and without over-explaining it with accessories. This sounds simple. It has become, in a world of casual Fridays and athleisure and the general collapse of dress codes, genuinely radical. The average person in 2024 dresses down for everything, and then feels, in situations that demand more, underprepared and slightly uncomfortable. Because dressing down is easy and dressing with intention requires a decision. Barbara made the decision every morning. It took her 8 minutes. She arrived wherever she was going looking like she meant to be there. Number 1. She treated her clothes like investments. This is the one the fashion industry most needs you not to know. Barbara spent more per item and bought fewer items. She brushed her coat after every wear with a clothes brush, a natural bristle brush kept on the wardrobe shelf, used for 30 seconds after she took the coat off. She stored her woolens in a cedar chest with lavender sachets against moths. She re-heeled her shoes twice a year at the cobbler on the high street. She mended before she replaced. Every item in her wardrobe was maintained with the quiet regularity of someone who understood that clothes looked after correctly last decades and clothes neglected last months. The fast fashion industry is built on the opposite premise, that clothing is disposable, that newness is the goal, that maintenance is more trouble than replacement. It is a premise worth approximately $1.7 trillion per year. It requires the consumer to keep buying. Barbara's model required her to keep caring. The clothes lasted. She kept wearing them. The industry couldn't make money from that, so it invented a different model and told everyone the old one was over. Barbara's navy coat lasted 23 years. When she finally retired it, the lining was worn, but the wool was still good. She had it relined. She wore it for another 4. When I started looking into this, I assumed the difference was taste, that the women in those photographs simply had a better eye than most of us. That elegance was a gift some people had and most didn't. That is not what the evidence shows. What it shows is a set of habits so practical, so unglamorous, so entirely devoid of mystery that the fashion industry could not build a product around them. So it built a different product, one that required constant purchasing, constant updating, constant dissatisfaction with what you already owned. Barbara was never dissatisfied. She had 4 dresses and a coat, and she was the best-dressed woman on Corporation Street. That is not a coincidence. That is the system working exactly as she intended it to. Barbara retired in 1997. Her daughter cleared her wardrobe the following year. Some of the dresses had gone, but the navy wool coat was still there on its padded hanger, brushed clean, and the jet brooch was pinned to the left lapel exactly where it had always been. Her daughter kept both. Pick one thing from this list: the pressing, the fit, the one accessory, the clothes brush. Try it for a month. Come back in the comments and tell me what it did. The next video is ready.